welcome to today's show. I'm really excited because today I invited on my energy healer. Her name is Tera. And I wanted to bring her onto the show because so many of you guys asked me when I said that I was meeting with an energy healer. You were like, what is an energy healer? What does that even mean? And actually, it's because of meeting with Tera that I went in to get blood tests done to figure out my Hashimoto's diagnosis, because she could see it in my energy field. She didn't say it was Hashimoto's. She was just like, hey, I think there's stuff going on with your hormones and your blood level. Like, you need to get stuff checked. So all that to say, I'm a big believer. I work a lot on my personal energy, and basically that's what she helps people do, right? Is clear up their energy field so that you are vibrating at the right frequency to be in alignment with all of your actions and your business and your life. And I wanted to share a quick disclaimer before this episode, because we're going to talk about a variety of things on this episode. Tera can see different things that most of us can't. She can see colors, spectrums that we can't. She can see our energy field. She talks with spirits, and she hears a lot of the info, and she gets a lot of her info from angelic beings and from her conversations with God. And so I want you to go into this episode with an open mind. You do not have to agree, right, with everything that you hear. You don't have to agree with everything that she believes. It's not even about that as much as it is the energy work. And so I just want you guys to go into this with an open mind and just have fun listening to her and her story and the work that she does, while just letting yourself explore new things and listen in with curiosity instead of, oh my gosh, well, I don't believe that, because we're definitely going to go there in this topic. We're going to talk a lot of different spiritual things, and this is going to cover a wide spectrum as far as spiritual beliefs. So I hope you love the episode. I had so much fun talking with her, and I do love working with her and the help that she's given me, not only in my health, but in my business this year. So without further ado, let's dive into the show. Yay, welcome Tera to the show. Everybody, you are in for a special treat. Tera is an intuitive energy worker. She works with me personally. She's worked with thousands of people over the years using her gifts to help people clear their energetic space, is kind of how I view it. I met her because of a girl in my mastermind referred me to her. And when I met her and she worked with me, I was like, oh my God, who are you? And what do you do? This is amazing. So I just knew that I needed to bring her on the show because she's helped impact my life so much over the last few months. And I'm just glad that she's here. So welcome to the show, Tera.
Awesome. Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
So tell us a little bit, what is an intuitive energy worker? I know that's going to be the biggest question people have.
Yes. So I see energy. I see people's energy fields kind of through my mind's eye in the form of colors and lines and blobs. And what I do is I gain an understanding of how that energy needs to be adapted to bring healing for them. My clients in the medical field say I'm a human ultrasound machine because ultrasounds work off of sound vibration to create imagery. I work off of just pure energy vibration to create a visualization in my head or out in the field to work with it.
I can feel people's minds like exploding right now as they're like, what does that even mean? So tell me, were you born always being able to see like colors around people and people's energetic vibe and all of that?
I was. I believe anybody and everyone can with the right work. I came in this world like this. I have always seen, as people call auras, chakras, the energy colors of people. But I also always have seen angels and guides, and they've always talked to me. Family thought I just had a very active imagination, but turns out it was real.
When did you realize, like, oh, wait, you guys don't see like colors around people? When did you have a moment like that?
Yeah, my mom was pretty encouraging, so she would play along. And I think she was very intuitive too, and so were many other family members. So I wasn't like, it wasn't beat out of me early like many people, but I don't know, I was pretty young. I was probably 4 or 5, 6, like that preschool kindergarten age when I started seeing the rest of the world, and kids would be like, it doesn't look red to me. I started realizing that, oh, I might be different. But
So I think people are sitting here like, whoa, okay, we are energetic beings. And so I think it's possible. Obviously, like humans can't even see all the colors on the spectrum.
right.
So like it would make sense that we have colors around us that we potentially can't even see. Tell people the importance of like energy and energy work and like why is that even such a big thing?
So I think probably starting here is a good place. Everything is energy, like everything. And so it depends on, and this is quantum physics. It's very scientific these days. Science is catching up to the magic world, I guess, to the spiritual world, and showing that or explaining that things that are dense, like a tree, that is slow, dense energy, but it's still energy. And we're realizing that everything is. So our bodies, our human form is made up of a variety of dense energies. Bone is denser than blood, right? All those little things. Obviously, oxygen and air is energy, but we can't touch it or grab it. We sure need it, right? So what I do is I'm just able to see that bigger spectrum, just like I can see more of the colors on the spectrum. I can see more of that energy flow. And what's important is that we recognize that we are not just physical matter, slow, dense energy, but we're a variety of energies. We're a whole range. And when we can embrace that range, we can then really bring even deeper healing and growth and prosperity into our lives.
Yeah. And I mean, that's what I've learned so much over the last year is that basically even success in your life, success in your business, success in your marriage, whatever is a reflection of the energy level that you're at and what you're able to attract because you attract the level that you're at. Could you like expound on that? Because I know I'm butchering that, but could you explain that for people?
No, you're not at all. Not at all. It's a pretty big concept to wrap around our heads. There's a lot of facets to all of this. So it can kind of be a tough thing to put in words sometimes. I find that myself. Since everything is energy, that means even our emotions are and our thoughts are. And everything as energy, basic scientific explanation, energy has motion, therefore it has vibration. And like energy always attracts like energy. So it's within a range. Right? Think about your early, your middle school science experiments with electricity and your positives and your negatives, right? That's a very rudimentary explanation of it, but it's the same thing, that like attracts like. So when we send a vibration out, whether it's on our emotional wavelength or our intellectual or our physical or that bigger etherical that we were talking about that I see, you're going to get that right back because it's going out to attract the same thing. So, yeah, line all four of those up and we send it all out in one focused intention. We get really amazing results.
Totally. What have been some of the like most mind-blowing results you've seen with like clients that you've worked with?
Oh my gosh. I work with such a range. I have seen some amazing physical shifts in people. And I think that's often the ones they can kind of grab a hold of the easiest because it's concrete, right? Third dimensional is that we found ailments people have had for a long time.
Well, I know for me personally, you were the one that gave me a heads up to go get my hormones checked and to get blood work done before I realized that I had Hashimotos and before I realized anything to do with my breast implant.
Yeah.
Literally because you saw it in my energy field when you were working with me. And that for me was the final straw. I hadn't been feeling good. And finally, when you were like, have you checked your hormones? Have you gotten blood work done? Like, you probably should do that. I was like, And then you started listing off my symptoms. Have you had brain fog? Have you had this? Have you had that? I was like, yes. How do you know all of this? Like,
right. So we're just sitting on the phone talking, right?
so literally, you did that for me. The whole reason I went and even got my blood tested and figured out I had Hashimotos and got my implants removed and all that. That was a huge part of my physical healing.
Yeah, that happens. It happens often because what I see when I'm looking at the energy field is I'm looking for things that aren't lit up to your frequency, and there's different densities of it. And if there's something dark or heavy, like that was in your hormonal area. So yeah, it told me something was going on. And then from there, you can follow that through the energy field, if that makes sense. Other things I've seen a lot of is I work with past lives. And I've had people that have like continuously broken their ankle over and over and over, or just have pain there. Completely random things happen. And when we look and we find there's an imprint of a shackle from when they were imprisoned or enslaved way back when. And when we can remove that energy, the ankle would heal up, no more pain. It takes a couple of days for the physical body to catch up because it's denser, right? Slower energy. But yeah, and there we go. Years later, nothing wrong.
That's amazing. That's incredible. Yeah. So can you explain to people what it looks like to see people's energy for you?
I can try. I switch frequencies and I tune into a place. It's a lot like those old school analog radios where you turn the dial, or your old TV that your grandma maybe had, but you have to adjust the antennas and it kind of is fuzzy. So I can tune in very specifically to spots. So when I generally see energy, I first see their channel of light flowing down through the top of their head. It's the main energy channel. And then, so we want to make sure that's bright and clear. But then I also will see, it looks a lot like a holograph. As I work on the phones, I have this little holograph in front of me of the person. It's very kind of sci-fi, Star Trek-y or something. But there are swirls of colors. And there'll be different colors, and there'll be dark spots, or there'll be, if the energy's not moving, it's stuck, there's something wrong there. Sometimes I'll see the actual imagery of the past life or an early childhood issue. If it's very intense, or any time in life, but if it's a very emotional moment, it will be seared in as a little picture stuck there in a spot on their body.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Does everybody have the same colors?
No. Well, in general, yes. But we're all very unique. So we have a different breadth. But overall, I work off the chakra system. And so I look for kind of those general colors that match the chakras. They're within the range.
Yeah. Can you walk everyone through the chakras really quick? Like what that even means and like explain?
Absolutely. Yeah. So most will have seen the pictures of the chakras, and they look like circles coming out from the front of their body. What they are, I see them differently, and I'll explain. But first, chakras are our main energy centers in the body. So they're concentrations of energy that throughout the body, stemming from our spine. Our spine is our main energy channel. And they oversee different parts of our lives and our physical body. For instance, the heart's usually the easiest. It's centered at the heart organ, and it's much what we think of. It oversees relationships and all of, such things that go with relationships. The mind, the third eye, as many people will call it, that is our head. Most of our head oversees our intellect as well as our brains. It's kind of see the coordination of those. Above that is our crown chakra, and it oversees our spirituality. Simply called the crown because it sits on top of our head, but it oversees our spiritual concepts and our life paradigms. So we have spirituality coming down into third eye, brain, intellect. Then we have communication in our chakra, in our throat chakra, and it oversees communication. Also oversees flexibility and movement in life, as it's the neck. And then the heart, as I mentioned, is our relationships. I see the heart in two places. So very quickly, the high heart, which is where the organ is our relationship with external self. Our low heart sits right below that and is our relationship with self, our internal relationship, which is vitally important and often overlooked. And then below that is solar plex. Solar plex is our digestion, and it's one of the most fascinating, I think, because it oversees all the digestion, which means elimination of toxins as well as processing of nutrients, right? And it oversees our control and our power of this life. It's where we do a lot of physical manifesting for this world. As you can see, stress there, we hold our stress there. You can see the connection of the physical and the emotional, the intellectual there. And then below that is what's called the procreation chakra, overseeing all of our sexual organs. Also our creation, creativity, and passion in life. No surprise we make babies there, right?
Yeah.
And then our root chakra sits underneath that. And it doesn't have a super physical place, but it is our foundation in life. It's our trust in the universe. And it is often one that gets fractured by really traumatic experiences. And that's where we do a lot of work in the beginning to help heal that so the rest of the chakras can stand firmly on each other.
Okay, so go into that a little bit now and talk about working with people's chakras and like what really you do and all of that.
Aha. So I see the chakras, and as opposed to the circles you'll see often coming out, I see them as wheels stacked on top of each other. My best metaphor is they're like vinyl records on a record player.
Yeah.
And that pin on the record player is our higher self energy flowing down. What I work and strive to do is get all of those chakras clean and clear and balanced on top of each other so they can get a little topsy-turvy by clearing off blockages, whether they be emotional, spiritual, intellectual, physical work, whatever it is. We get them lined up and then they slowly spiral into each other upwards, counterclockwise, which signifies our ascension, our growth in ourselves.
How do you actually clear things? I know people are like, how do you even do that?
Oh my gosh. Well, we'll talk a few standard methods, but honestly, today, however it needs be. I mean, it changes constantly. It's very unique to the situation of the person, of course, and the experience. But so there's a few things that I'm extremely, extremely visual, first and foremost. And I should say this, many people that do great work like I do often will hear it or they don't see it as much as I do. So everything I do is kind of in this visual metaphor space, right? So I will literally see chords from other people. Say in your heart, you've got, or your procreation chakra, I find a lot of chords of past relationships. From somebody still attached, your ex-lover, I will see the cord like a rope tied on, and I will take it, twist it, and pull it off, and remove, get rid of it. A lot of times I see what I call debris. Feels a lot like I'm sweeping up the floor, sweeping a bundle of junk, just parts of things people have worked on emotionally that need to be cleared, or toxicities, physical toxicities in the body that they've been flushing but we need to clear up. So I literally imagine my hand like scooping them all up in a pile, and then I have the client visualize and breathe with me to inhale it and exhale it off. Breath is a big part of what I do. Breath moves energy. And so I use my breath as well as have the client assist me using their breath to move the energy through.
Can you touch on that a little bit more and the importance of breath and learning breath work and breathing exercises and all of that? Because that's something like I didn't even learn till the last year. And then I heard somebody talk about how kids have so much energy because they actually know how to breathe properly, which is into your tummy, not into your lungs. And that adults wonder why they're tired all the time. And part of the problem is that adults breathe very shallowly. We breathe basically half breaths our whole lives, and we're not. So I would love to hear you talk about that a little bit more.
Sure. Breath. Well, It's kind of essential. It's an important thing to do, right? But what we do, and yeah, it's definitely a Western phenomenon. Eastern traditions breathe better, but we, for some reason, hold a society. Don't be a mouth breather. Don't breathe too loud. You know, we don't want people to hear us, which is very bizarre. And also, we're terrified of having bad breath.
I was a mouth breather growing up, and my parents always told me that. Stop breathing so loudly. They constantly told me that.
And it teaches us to pull in, and what's happening there is because we're naturally, we say breathe with our tummy, what we're really doing is expanding the lungs down and opening up to our solar plex. We're opening that diaphragm. We're opening I mentioned, remember, the solar plex is the power center. It's our control and our power of our life and our manifesting. So if we're told, stop that, don't breathe so loud, stop, we tend to hold that in, and we're holding our power, and we're constricting our energy. So on that level, we are feeling less than. We don't feel our power. We become detached from it, and we start to kind of lean the other way of being dependent upon others. It shifts our mindset. Also, though, from a very physical standpoint, we don't get enough oxygen to the brain. We're not functioning that third eye. We're stepping away from our own intuition, as well as our own thinking, intellect. But for energy, from a pure energy standpoint, if we are breathing deeply, we are breathing in the ethereal energies out there, those ones on the spectrum we don't see. And we are empowering ourselves. We're also naturally detoxifying our energy. So when we breathe, and the breath I do, and we imagine breathing light down into us. We breathe our own higher self. Some call it spirit or soul. And we breathe source energy. However you perceive that, maybe God, maybe who knows, but it's the source of our life, and we breathe that in. We are consciously, physically taking in our own power, and then sending it out to create great lives.
Yeah, I love that. Okay, so let's back it up a little bit. When did you start realizing you could actually work with this? Because you talked about how you were a kid and you could see colors and stuff. When did you realize you could do stuff with it?
So I first started seeing more of my psychic eye, what I could see in the world. Like I would pick up more visions of what was to happen, or I could tell things are happening. And pretty standard high school, the early middle school slumber parties. Let's do light as a feather, stiff as a board games. Those, play with the Ouija board when parents have gone to bed. And that crap was real. And it terrified me. Yeah. Because I realized when I was moving the Ouija board, it was happening. But we were also, and all my friends were like, Tera, you do it, And the phone would ring and they're like, ask who it is. And I could spell the name out. And this is before caller ID, okay? This is no way to know. And they would be on the phone. So I kind of knew I could see what was coming. I would have a lot of deja vus, a lot of premonitions. So I just always knew that piece. But then I tried to be an adult and do that regular grow up thing, and went to college and got my graduate work and all that. And I realized it was just things didn't set well. I loved what I was doing, but it didn't fit me. And I stumbled into this meditation group that was founded by a man named Audley Allison. It's very small, just here in Oklahoma. Oh, there's a few random groups here and there through the Midwest or the West. Anyway, somebody just said, go to this meditation class. Honestly, I was looking for yoga. I thought that's what I was supposed to do. I needed to be more physical, moving, and get the stress off. And turns out my doctor, my general practitioner doctor, taught this meditation class. I was in there, and I was talking to her about it. She's like, just come to meditation. It's free. I was like, well, it's free. And they showed up, and they did the first exercise. Bring the energy into the top of your head. You breathe it down and you run it through the body. It's very simple. And I felt it when I breathed the energy, and I literally, that first breath, I went, and everybody looked at me. And I was like, feel it. close your eyes, breathe again, because I'm interrupting everyone's meditation. But I knew right then and there, that was it. That's my light. That's what I've been looking for. And I could feel it pull through my hands. I could feel it pull through my feet. And I didn't miss a meditation for, I don't know, I've been doing that same meditation for 12 plus years now. And they teach you how to work with your own energy, which then about 3 years into that, I was told, start using it. And I didn't know what that meant. But my guides, my angels said, start using this. And so instead of just using it on me and kind of moving the energy and breathing and doing these specific meditation techniques, I just all of a sudden, it's hard to explain there.
Amazing. So I want to ask you, like, you talk about guides and angelic beings and God. I've heard you talk about God.
Yep.
Can you talk to me about your belief there, like, and who you believe in, who you've seen, who you've talked to? Because I know a lot of people hear the word Ouija board and they're like, oh my God, that's satanic, right?
Okay. Yeah, absolutely.
That's the first thing that's going to go through people's minds. So I get why it's showing you, because there is a very real side that's dark.
Yep, absolutely.
And there's a very real side that's light.
Mm-hmm.
So I would love to open that topic next.
All right. So, let's start there. First of all, I do not do Ouija boards anymore. It was a dumb high school experiment. And and here is, first of all, I didn't know what I was doing when I was doing it. And if you don't know what you're doing when you work with tools like that, you're opening the door to anything. You're opening the door to the other side. And the other side, quote unquote, is just like this world. There is positive and there is negative.
Right.
It's a dualistic setup. So we always want to know what we're doing. We always want to make sure we're working in the light in a protected, safe environment. So with that said, the critical to me, and I'm very strict about it. Now, when I do work in the light and I work with the other side, the positive side, there's many, many dimensional planes or higher levels of higher consciousness where different beings live. Just like here. I mean, we have, an unknown variety of species out there, right? And some fly and some swim and some live in the middle on the earth like us. It's the same out there. So I work a lot with what I just kind of call my guides, which pretty much come from the angelic realm, the golden light. You're familiar with Reiki energy. That's the energy Reiki practitioners use. And they are angelic beings. Different levels of them. Sometimes if I'm doing something really heavy duty, Archangel Michael or some of the other archangels will come. They're very personal. And they're always around. In fact, they love to work with us more if we pay more attention to them. That's what they're always telling me. Well, if they'd listen, and they say that to me, if you just listen to us, I don't know. But even I want to do what I want to do sometimes. Other beings I have, there's a lot of what I call second dimensional, just on the other side, kind of where our breath is, the air, and it's fairies, and there's beautiful fairies and other kind of beings such as that are there. They're very much here to help us and help work with Earth and take care of that side. A lot of our pets are actually incarnations of fairies or other such folk of that nature. They come in to experience physical, just as we as light beings, our souls come into our human bodies to experience the physical. I have way too many credits in my philosophy degree. I got very obsessed with learning every religion and every mythology out there. So I've had the honor, because of that experience, to meet many of those folks on the other side. So Greek gods, Roman gods, which are typically one and the same with different names, but also work with a lot of Norse gods, Odin and all those folks too. They're all there and they're all real. And a lot of them are actually reincarnations of the same people, or the same angelics, they're angels, but they come at appropriate times for our consciousness, where we as humans are to understand and comprehend Very, very aligned with Christianity. Love working with Jesus and the saints. They rock. Jesus has a great personality, by the way. He gets a lot of flack sometimes from the others, but yeah. I could go on. I mean, Buddha, beautiful. Buddha and Jesus are very much kind of companion energy workers, or I don't say angels because that's not appropriate for them, but in the sense of kind of helping guide humans. They're kind of our master, guides.
Have you had experiences with darker spirits that were scary or that were more intense?
Yep. Some of them are downright scary and they're nasty. Yeah, they're there and, well, they don't like the light. So they're going to be aggressive sometimes, especially today in such a massive global shifting. Their worlds are upside down too. And so they're a lot like rabid animals. They're on the offensive to protect themselves and to hold on to their power. But there are truly demons out there. And I hate using that word, but it is as light as it is dark. Remember that dualistic world. But the nice thing is typically we manage our energy and pay attention to ourselves and take care of our energy. We have a natural defense system that keeps that out. But yeah, I've cleared out a lot of lost souls. They attach to others or attached to places, ghosts, as you will call them. And a lot of those aren't really bad. They feel bad and they're really pissed off. But that's because they're stuck in this limbo and they want to get out. And they haven't realized they have to release their ego to go to the light.
Totally. Crazy.
Yeah, it is. It blows my mind still today. But here we are.
So when did you start taking this on full time?
This energy work I do today, about 3 years ago, I went completely full time. Years ago, I had done it differently. And like I said, I did a lot more psychic advisory stuff, things like that, angel card readings. But yeah, doing full energy work the way I do it now, it's about 3 years. I've been doing about part-time and here and there for a long time before. That was simply my own fear, my own blocks. But I'm afraid to take the leap.
Totally. And how do you do it with people over the phone? Because I know, people are like, oh, you're a person. I'm like, no, it's over the phone. And it's like, what?
I know. I know. It surprises me. So I used to do in person. And I'd have them sit in a chair and I'd work around them. I didn't touch them, but I would work the energy around. And it worked fine. But then I had some clients that moved and still needed us. I said, well, let's just do it on the phone. I don't know. I didn't even think about it. We tried it. It worked. And I found the more I did the phone, the more powerful it actually was. So I'll explain this first. When you're in the physical, we have physical barriers. And we also have physical influences. There's the temperature. There's the awkwardness of me getting right up here on the girls to get some gunk off your heart chakra, right? It's weird. And everybody's like, am I sitting right? So, and I work a lot with my eyes closed anyway, I found. So I wasn't even seeing the person sitting in the chair. I kept bumping them because I'm looking at the energy. Energy doesn't have time or space attached to it. It's just energy. So anyway, I started doing more and more phone. That also allowed me to reach more people. But what I also found with the phone is because I don't have any of those physical limitations and I can completely sit down and close my eyes, I can reach up. What I do is I raise my consciousness a little bit further up and I can tap into your energy field that does extend beyond time and space. It's really hard to actually explain in words. But I use the holograph to work with it. Funny thing is, I knew a year ago, my guides kept telling me I had to do this. You have to go completely phone. Have to go completely phone. And I resisted. I also resisted because while I live a very hermit life, I like people. And I knew if I did that, I pretty much wouldn't see humans a lot. You know what I mean? So for my own ego, I held back. And then In January this year, they just laid it down. The space I was renting to use wasn't available any longer. Certain things happened, and then they said, you just have to. And clients in persons with, and turns out I did it exactly a month before we went into lockdown for the pandemic. And that's why I had to go full time.
That's crazy.
I know. So they knew what was happening. Totally. I could feel it, but I was ignoring it. So, yeah.
So what if, okay, I have a couple questions for you. First of all, how would you tell someone to start learning to tune in to like their intuition? Because I think that's something that, I mean, we're not taught ever, and it's kind of almost trained out of us at a young age. And so for me, a big part of even changing my life and my business and everything in the last year has just been learning to listen into my intuition and follow my gut. Who would think? Like,
right? I know. At the core of what I do, that is my goal.
Yeah.
Is to empower everyone to connect with their higher self, which is your intuition. Listen to you and follow your own authenticity. Be you. Because we won't be steered wrong, ever. Ever, 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 if we're in alignment with self. So I would say the first steps are, first and foremost, commit to that. And make a strong commitment really in your heart, really in your gut, that regardless of what you're told, you will learn. You won't do it right off the bat. We've got layers of conditioning, like you said. It is kind of beaten out of us. We are told not to believe in ourselves because there's someone better who knows what we should wear, how we should look, what we should eat. We call that marketing, big business. And then we have someone who tells us how we should think and we should act. We often call that society, religion, or schooling, you name it. Everything tells us what we're to be. So we never learn, we never practice. So make that commitment that you will learn it regardless of what you find. And accept that you know it's going to be hard and you're going to have to face things you don't like. We have to accept that we have been doing things that aren't in our best interests and own it. Then what I would do from there, once you kind of make that promise to yourself, is start small and do steps. Find a method that allows you to step out of the world, whether it's meditation or it's runner's high if you want to exercise, something along those lines, and give that to yourself every day. My favorite thing of all is to just lay flat on the floor in silence and just lay there and just breathe and just lay there. I mean, don't think. Allow yourself to stop intaking and processing things. You'll start to hear your voice. And then I would start doing some other heavier learning about new ways. Learn, just something very different spiritually or ways of living, it's very much out there all over the place.
Yeah. So that leads perfectly into my next question. What if someone's like, well, I don't believe in all of this. Like, I don't believe in past lives. I don't believe in like other things. I hold different beliefs about this. Can they still work with you?
Absolutely.
Yeah. That's where I kind of want to go next, is like, this is not an all or nothing approach to any of it, but the basis of energy work is still the basis, right? Yeah. Like, that's still, can't argue that.
No, I work with an incredibly large range of folks. I mean, I have complete and total science-based brain surgeons that is that. I have super, super traditional Baptists. I mean, all the way. They don't drink, they don't smoke, and I have folks who call themselves earth witches and, very out there hippie. I have Buddhists. I've got everybody. In all age ranges. Not a lot of men, though. That is one thing I'll tell you, which is they'll come around. But what I do, it doesn't matter to me at all what your belief system is, because this is about energy. It is about the transfer. It's about setting your frequency to the vibration that matches you to build your best life. And whatever we're working with, I mean, I work with folks dealing with cancer. I work with people who just want to figure out how to leave their husband because, it's not healthy, or whatever it is, or stay in the marriage. Who knows? I mean, I work on all areas, and it really doesn't matter. In fact, some of the funnest people to work with are the ones that are very skeptical, because once they feel it, they realize, you can believe anything. Your belief system's still just energy.
Well, that's true too. I didn't even think about that.
In reality, it's all just energy, and for me, what I see with our belief system, it's the way we set ourselves to perceive life, and it's working for us. The one thing I do believe in all belief systems is they must grow and expand to match our experience and our maturity levels. We don't believe the same thing as a 5. We've learned past that, right? But a 5-year-old needs to know that. But also, we're just adjusting your energy. That's all it is.
I love it.
Yeah.
And then I've also had people say to me before, like, well, your intuition, you're supposed to look to God for answers, not like into yourself. But my response to that is always like, but God is in me. So if I look in, isn't that the same thing? Like, how do you have a stance on that, or do you talk with people about that when we're talking about intuition?
Absolutely. That channel of light I mentioned coming in. And of course, this is very visual, and it's because of the way our human bodies are set up, or up and down. But that light, that energy, that is your connection to God. And as he says, we're all made in the image of him. We are of him. We are as his children, but I don't like to use that word, child, but we are of him. And so, that energy flow, if we tune into it, that is the most direct communication you can have with God. Your intuition is your communication with God as you perceive him. Absolutely. There is nothing closer. There is nothing greater. And if I'm listening out there, even if it's to the greatest minister in the world, I am still hearing his intuition, his communication with God, which is, we like to believe is good and right on. And in general, we all follow the same stuff. But if I'm tuning in, I'm hearing my direct communication with him. And that to me is just beautiful.
That's so powerful. Amazing. Well, what's been maybe the most challenging with your work, with your line of work?
Well, from a personal level, getting over that it's super freaking weird to most people. Just owning it and figuring out when and where it's worth, standing up for it. A lot of people, most people, I teach meditation, because they're not there. But also, when people really want to know, I've learned to figure out and talk to them about it and own it. This is some weird stuff, but it also is the realest that I know. And embracing it and owning it, that was probably the biggest challenge, is getting over my own ego and allowing it to be me, to be myself, and do it. Also, figuring out my own personal blocks and valuing it has been a really tough one. Figuring out how to make a good energy exchange or price, people say, for it. Where is that? And that was some really tough stuff for me. But from the work aspect, is holding my focus and really owning my energy so that I am healthy and fully in line so that I can hold the focus for the client.
Yeah.
As, giving up all toxins. I don't live a normal life. I don't go eat junk food. I do eat ice cream. I haven't gotten rid of that. But, You don't drink, I don't do it because those things affect my energy field, which then affects my focus and energy work to serve the client.
How amazing. What a level of sacrifice in the service of others.
Thank you. Yeah. It used to feel like sacrifice. Now it feels like really honoring my own system. Why would I? Today I'm like, why would I want to? Although, like I said, ice cream's still my vice. But it's healthy and organic, right? All natural, organic, happy raised cows. But today it's not as much sacrifices. It's such an honor to get to do this work. And it's such an honor to have this opportunity to serve people and to help them find their empowerment. Everything else falls short. So, yeah.
From a business perspective in the beginning, how did you get clients? Because you just talked about it's freaky and weird. How did you go from
Right. Well, my first clients were from my meditation class from my teacher and so they were very willing, and it was very much, can I try? Can I test this on you? And then I did very standard business model stuff. I thought you were supposed to do, you've got to have, this is earlier web page stuff, kind of web page, and you have to have a business card, and you've got to market, and you've got to sell it to people, which so inauthentic, girl. Oh my gosh. It was draining me. It was exhausting. But I would go to psychic fairs, and I would meet up and, network with the psychics, and it also didn't feel very authentic. It also felt there's a lot of heavy stuff in those places, and that was tough for me. But not that they're bad, just there's a lot going on, and it was too much. But what I did then, kind of stepped back from it and did more library work. And then I just said, you know what? I can't not do it. I'm just going to do it. And I cut everything out. I have a website so people have information and can pay. But I stopped marketing, and I started actually practicing what I preach, listening to my own communication with God. And I started sending out intentions, vibrational intentions, that those who need me and match me will come in, and literally word of mouth, everything from there on. I don't market. I don't try. I've got 10,000 business cards. I don't know, fuel for a bonfire. I mean, because I don't want to take, I literally now trust, and I send out an intention about weekly that those who are ready will find me in my meditation, and they come just like you came. People just pop, Yeah.
Can you give someone a piece of advice or how to do that themselves for their business? Because I know we've talked about this for me before, and I visualize daily. And the more that I really started meditating, visualizing on a way serious, more serious level back in March, my business has exploded.
Mm-hmm.
And I have done way less selling, you would say, to people, and way more I don't miss my meditation and visualizing.
Right.
I take that more seriously. And that sounds so out there to people.
Mm-hmm.
I would have thought that it sounded out there too.
It's counterintuitive to all of our conditioning, because we're told we in Western society are very linear thinkers, and we feel that and we're also very ego-based, and we need to tell someone how smart we are and how important our product is and how much they need it. And not all of that thinking comes from a basis of assumption that your client or potential client doesn't know what they need and doesn't believe in you. It's fear-based. So in the law of attraction, like energy attracts like energy. If your basis of marketing is fear, you're just going to get more fear. So you might get clients, but you're not going to get the clients that match you or that you necessarily want to work with, right? Because they're also in that perpetual fear of need and not being accepted, heard, honored, wanted, all those types of things. But if you come from a vibrational place of, I am confident in what I do, I am here to serve and offer it to those who are ready. Those who are ready will come. So that's why the marketing piece is so draining. That's why that Western thinking doesn't work very well, especially energy-based, right? Oh yeah, you can push shoes and nail polish on people all day with it, right? But from an energy standpoint, it's counter what you are, right? Yeah. And your work, what you do is very energy-based. It's heartfelt, thoughtful. It's, service orientated. So best thing to do is step back from that and be like, why do you feel like you have to push this? Believe in what you have. Believe in who you are and what you do. And if you truly believe that, sit with that. Just sit down every morning. I get a cup of coffee. My dog and I go out to do his business. Come in, make coffee, sit down. I don't do anything else before that. I sit down with my coffee and I visualize where I'm at in my day. And if you do that in the morning, just visualize that space of feeling. You don't have to see it in detail, but feel your success. Feel your confidence. Feel working with people. And I don't see specific people, but I see energy coming. I see light coming in that match. And that's all you have to do is radiate your light out, see that light come in, and they will literally, they'll just come. And what it is you're two things. You're giving the universe the opportunity to bring them to you, however, is the path of least resistance, instead of you have to come through this website and this marketing advertisement you saw on Facebook. Kidding. You're only going to get that right. But if you say, hey, universe, here I am, they will come from the weirdest places ever. They're the ones that match.
And then I think people are great at doing that in the morning, but then they start going about their day and it's like, oh, but wait, I really do need to get these clients. So like, you know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Reconditioning of your brain.
Yes, it's reconditioning. It's literally retraining the brain, the thought patterns, and the energy patterns, the actions that follow those thought patterns, and the emotions that are set behind them. So it's multi-energy bodies here. If you commit to the morning, I like the morning. Some people really like the evening because what they do before they go to bed is they set it all. They sleep on it, so they already wake up into that mode. But if you try you get going in the day, and if you let the external dominate your day, oh my gosh, it will totally do it. We know that, right? But if we take control of our energy in the morning or before anything else, it doesn't dominate. We won't play, even if we do marketing, we do things like that work for some businesses and need to be some ways. You're coming from a place of confidence, positive energy. And those are the, so even if you sit down and go, oh my gosh, I got to get that done, you'll still have the resonant energy underneath it to be like, yeah, I need to get this done because it's going to be beautiful to reach those people. They're waiting to hear from me. Instead of, oh my God, grab the folks. All right.
Correct. And that's so much of the work that I do with my clients. I'm constantly reminding them, like, the energy that you're doing the work in is more important than the action itself.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So you can do the same action. And if it's coming from the place of, I'm already confident because I already know this is happening for me.
Yep.
That's completely different than, I need to make money right now.
Yes.
And it's funny because I just had a conversation with a client. She's like, well, I think everybody that I talk to thinks that I'm doing great. Like, I don't think they think that. And I'm like, it's not about what you think they think. It's about literally how you're feeling in your body.
Yes.
Well, are you feeling that way in your body when you talk to them? Because if you are, you can't fool energy.
Right. Nope. There's no fooling it. It is what it is. Always. It's kind of, if you take it back to, we always know, like you ask somebody, how you doing? And they're like, I'm okay, I'm great. And you're like, yeah, I'm not feeling that. You're smiling, but that ain't, you can read that, the truth of it. And it's the same thing when we're doing actions out there. And we're like, hey, really like to see, and like, you're like, yeah, you can read it in posts. You can feel it in social media when you read things. You're like, oh, and it's not, the words are the same. But one you can tell is trying to mask something or convince you of something. The other one's coming from a place of truth. And that's because we all feel energy, regardless if you're aware of it or not. That's why some places you go just feel good and some don't. You can go to 2 different Targets across town. One feels awesome to walk in and browse and lose your Sunday afternoon. The other one, you're like, get the toilet paper, let's go. And they're exact same setup with the same stuff. It's the energy flow.
I'm having like a huge light bulb moment right now. And last year, I was in a completely different business, and I had been building this business for 4 years. And I started working on affirmations. I started working on visualization. I started working on basically raising my vibration, right? My energy, and realizing that how I showed up was more important than the action I was taking. And I'm just now realizing the whole reason I pivoted in my business is because I realized that I could not show up in the energy of like confidence and knowing that this is just what I want to do just because I don't need this. I don't even know what I'm trying to say, except that it was a business that I was only doing because I wanted a sale.
Yeah.
And so because of that, it didn't matter how much I tried to raise my energy. I was like, I'm not going to feel that even when I do market or reach out to people, because this isn't the right business for me. So I need to pivot into something where I can feel that way.
Right.
Does that make sense?
It wasn't authentic for you. It wasn't in alignment with your frequency. And I completely understand. I went in, I got my master's in library science, and I was a public librarian. And I loved it. And I actually got to do the event side of it. And oh my gosh, I'm very, very good at it. And I fully believe in librarianship. Public libraries rock. I believe in all the things that they stand for. I believe in everything else. I loved it. But it didn't fit me. I was showing up because I believed in that, not in, it didn't fit. It wasn't in alignment. So I completely understand. And that piece of it wasn't authentic with who I am. No, I don't belong in a bunch of people. I don't belong in crowds, all these things. But also, you mentioned you'd started doing affirmations and you started doing these other like techniques to align. What you did is you pivoted your energy so that you could see the misalignment and realign to the business you do now that is absolutely perfect for you, by the way. It fits. It's true. It's true to your heart. It's true to your mind. It's true to your physical actions. It's true to your heart, your spirit. Yeah. And if we start one place, just like that, learning affirmations, just changing anything, getting a little more physically healthy, anything we change will lead to change throughout and help alignment.
Yeah. And I just want to put that out there for anybody that's listening. If they're like, but I can't not show up that way in my business, I would say maybe you're in the wrong business. And like, it's okay to consider other options.
It is, absolutely. And what we always want to remember is everything we've done, like the business you were in, set you up for a lot of experience and understanding for where you're at now. Everything we've done to this point is prep for the next step. Even if it doesn't look like it in the moment and you feel like a huge failure because you're going to I can't throw this business out, I put so much in it, or this relationship or whatever it is. Maybe it wasn't meant to last. Maybe it was just meant to give you what you needed, the experience, the learning, the healing even, so that you can step into where you need to be.
100%. I wouldn't be able to do what I do today if I hadn't have built the other one. So
absolutely.
Always a stepping stone.
Absolutely. I'll tell you, being a librarian, especially public, I know a lot of little stuff. I have an immense amount of experience on many levels that helps me relate to clients in ways that I would never have if I had just started doing this. I needed all of that to do this. So, yeah, it also helps me stay a little more like organized and sane in a very non-organized work.
True.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Thank you so much for being on today. This was such a fun conversation.
Thank you.
We talk business, but now I'm glad we did because it's so fun. Realizing how much energy even plays a role in your actual business.
Absolutely. Everything is energy. The business itself is energy. So, yeah, you can master it in any way. Honored to work with you. Thank you, Joy. I appreciate it. Hopefully,
yes. Tell everyone who's listening in where they can find you and how they can work with you and all of that.
Absolutely. So just visit my website, elevatedenergies.biz. And on there, you can get my email to email me for a session if you're interested. If you just have some questions about what we talked about, feel free to email me. I do all my communication via email. And it's just me and only me, so you'll only get me. And then there's other information. There's some other resources of other great energy stuff if you're interested. So,
And you do a meditation class virtually too, right?
I do. I offer 4 different classes. The only requirement is you do a session with me prior. As I mentioned before, I'm very strict about ensuring positive workspace for energy work. So we want to make sure there's no weird attachments and that you are ready for meditation, but it's really not meditation as it is guided energy work. You will tune your own systems and learn techniques. It's fun stuff. So if you're interested, let me know.
Thank you so much for your time and for being on and sharing your knowledge with us. And everybody, if you guys love this episode, don't forget to take a screenshot and share it out. Send Tera an email and tell her what you loved about this. I'm sure it would make her day and make her smile. Thank you, everybody.
Love to hear. Thank you.